Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Inside Out 2. It just premiered a few hours ago on Disney Plus. It is the biggest animated film of the year, probably the second biggest film of the year so far, beyond Deadpool and Wolverine, and Disney's got both of them. This is, of course, from 2024. It is an hour and 43 minutes long. It's from Pixar. It's a sequel to the original highly popular animated film, and it deals with, if you don't already know, and I'm going to do my best not to spoil any major plot points or anything else, but we're still dealing with the inside of Riley's head, and we have joy, sadness, fear, disgust, and anger, all working together to keep Riley moving. And just keeping her mental health in place. Because, last time we saw her, she was a kid and having to move to a new town. And we discovered that sadness very much was overwhelming her in having to put aside, leave behind all of her old friends and everything she knew when she grew up, to live in a new place with just mom and dad and knowing no one and fearing there would be no hockey to play where she lived. So in that last film, it became the main contention where we get to see inside Riley's mind as depicted by these 5 characters and the different ways they shape who Riley is. Sadness, yeah, kids are sad a lot of the times, but this was a different kind of sadness. And joy, being the core, the kind of leader of it all, which you kind of expect when it comes to kids. Kids love just having fun, being happy. They don't have too many worries. They don't have too many concerns. So joy is at the forefront of their existence, no matter what, including Riley, including you and me, when we're like 5, 10, whatever it is, these young days, or at least it should in many cases, because you know what, when you're 5, 10, whatever, 7, all those kind of things, you don't have to pay bills. You just need to get a good night's sleep, eat, go to school, things like that. Yeah, maybe homework is a little bit frustrating, but beyond that, life isn't too complex at that point. But dealing with sadness was kind of the core of that story, going that sadness is not necessarily a thing you suppress or push aside or pretend you aren't. It is something that you have to accept, and it's a part of you. It's something that you just don't set aside. In this, well, Riley's 13 now. Which is made clear to us in a very long front of the film exposition period told by Joy, and just sort of a recap of everything in a sense. For some people, it would seem like a really bad idea to put at the front of the film, but it's okay. Again, you're going to see that it's a film that it's important to sort of bridge the two films. And even if it's just little things like, oh, she's 13, she has friends now, and she's on a hockey team, and she's really good, and you have to have an understanding of who Riley is since last we saw her. And it's good. It doesn't drag the film down. It did stick out like a sore thumb, and it did just sort of, if some part of me feels like I could skip it. Maybe, but there are some little important things in that, especially if you're only seeing it for the first time. This is the second time for me seeing it. And in this, we get, when you're 13, you know what happens. For some of us, it happens much earlier. Some it happens a little later. But for the purposes of this story, puberty hits Riley hard. And that means new emotions coming into play, new things. By the way, it doesn't go into any of the physical manifestations of puberty. We don't go into any of those details. You can make another movie about that. It's not meant for that. And there's no jokes at the expense of your changing body, that kind of thing. No, it's none of that stuff. So it's all internal. It's all mental. It's all about Riley dealing with who she is as a person. Whether it's all those things we already know about her core emotions, who again are working together really well. And we also discover different parts of the mind as depicted in this. And the one that I will tell you about is the fact that we talk about a thing, we'll put it to the back of our mind. And the back of our mind is something that when things go wrong, well, Joy does a really good job at just sort of tossing something bad that happens to you, putting it to the back of your mind, just throwing it to the back, just forgetting about it. And it's important to the story. Let's just say that. And we understand that we discover that Riley has beliefs now that are formed by her experiences. Whereas kids, for the most part, they can believe basic, simple things. But in this, we see a physical manifestation of it in the control room, where they all deal with how they all activate different emotions for when Riley is doing certain things like playing hockey and interacting with their friends or dealing with their parents or things like that. And, well, when it comes to puberty, well, it means new emotions are coming to play. Not to discount Amy Poehler as Joy, Phyllis, why can I say her? Phyllis Smith from The Office. You know her. You can just hear it. She's sadness. We have... oh, man. Well, Lewis Black as Anger. And we have not Mindy Kaling. Mindy Kaling did not come back. She's replaced by Liza Lapira. Liza Lapira. She's a comedian. Yeah. She's discussed. And I swore to myself I would not forget his name. I don't know. I have this problem. He's one of my favorite comedians. He used to be on Saturday Night Live, and I can never remember his name. I don't know why. It's a simple name. I'm going to go check it. Dang it. No edits. Bill Hader. Bill Hader played Fear in the last film, and he's replaced by Tony Hale, which you'd recognize from Arrested Development, and he's Forky. So you call upon him when you need somebody to fill in. Well, he does a great Fear, because, yeah, he's a Bluth. The most scaredy cat Bluth of all the Bluths in Arrested Development. But so we have that core cast, but the new emotions come around, and they're played by Maya Hawke. Yes, the daughter of Ethan Hawke. And also, she's done plenty of stuff on her own as well. Wasn't she in Stranger Things? Yeah. We also get, let's see, Riley's played by Kensington Tallman now. She's a little bit older. She's not the little kid anymore. I don't know if it's the same actress. I didn't check that. Or if they just aged her up. Or just got a different actress. Oh, by the way, her parents are played by Diane Lane and Kyle MacLachlan. They don't have a really big part in this film, but I don't know why I didn't realize that's who played them. We also have ennui. We got to say, anxiety is Maya Hawke. We have ennui. We have embarrassment, and we have envy. So those four push their way into the control room and sort of take over things. I'm not ruining anything for you because that's what you see in the trailer. So, yeah. Joy doesn't take to this very well. Neither do the others, to certain degrees. But definitely Joy does not like having her power usurped because she believes that she knows what's best for Riley. She wants to make sure that Riley, holds on to her best friends and makes the right choice in every situation and is happy. She wants her to be happy. You're 13. Everything's going around inside your head and your heart and everything else. Emotionally, you're dealing with a lot of stuff. And guess what? It's not so simple anymore to be just happy. And yeah, like I said, it happens, that changing point happens at different points for everybody. But again, the purpose of this is the fact that she's 13 and she's about to go off to hockey camp because she and her friends are really good, and she's got to make some tough decisions dealing with when it comes to her friends and when it comes to possibly advancing in the world of teen hockey. So I'm not diminishing it by that. I'm not mocking it. I'm just saying that it's very important to her. It's something that's super important. Her friends are important to her. What hockey is super important to her. It's just, we've seen this type of story. And for me to explain this feels a little spoilerish, but it's the same story we've seen in 1,000 Disney Channel movies and 1,000 Disney Channel series. I'm sure Hannah Montana or Lizzie McGuire or somebody else at some point has had an episode or many episodes in which a character decides that, you know what, they have good friends, but they want to be popular or they want to be liked by somebody they admire. and they make it decisions that sort of leave their friends in the dust. And so you have that struggle. That's not a new story. It's been told a million times before. And that's kind of the core of Riley's story. But what makes this important is that we get to see from behind the scenes, inside her own mind, why. And we've probably dealt with this in our own lives. I know I have, in situations where, friends kind of go, well, I don't need you anymore. I'm going to go over there. Or you might be that friend who's like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to go with the cool kids, as compared to friends you've loved and hung out with all your life. It's that weird pull. Do you move on when you feel that maybe there's estrangement happening, amongst the people you've been with your entire life? I mean, these are the choices you make, and very often they're selfish, and anxiety is at the forefront, and looking to take Joy's position, believing that she knows how to best handle what's to come in Riley's life. Because of puberty and everything else that's going on, they're getting older. They need to have new friends. What if her other friends are not around anymore? What is she going to do? And so anxiety comes into play to try to manage all of that, overly manage all of that, just obsessively manage over that, and we overmanage that. And a lot of us deal with that as well, in the sense that some of us worry too much. Some of us try to figure out every outcome. People try to plan every single moment of their day in order to make sure that nothing goes wrong. So that the best, there's some things that are out of our control. But anxiety comes through, and played by Maya Hawke. Anxiety comes through and has a game plan. It's not just not coasting along because we're kids, we're just silly kids. She knows what's important. She believes she does. And you can paint her as a villain, but I don't believe she is. She comes off as that because you see her as a threat, as Joy sees her as a threat. But there's also a little bit of lessons to be learned here, in the sense that anxiety, which again affects each of us in different ways. Some of us have anxiety attacks. Some of us are nervous in different ways, emotional ways that many of us can't handle the way. Some people just sort of blow off things. Some people don't plan anything. Some people just get high. So there's way. It's what's great about this story is the fact that we get to see the internal workings, and we can understand not just our own decisions, but decisions that other people have made in their lives, in our lives, that go, oh, so that's probably what's going on. Don't get me wrong. This is certainly not meant to be a replacement for any kind of therapy or a psychology degree. This is pop psychology at best. It's manifested through animated characters, and it's meant to be fun and silly, but insightful. And if you feel that any of these things that you see in this, hopefully, if anything, it will make kids and also adults, in a sense, look at themselves in a way that says, oh, that's why I am the way I am, or that might be the reason why I feel this way, or I think this way, around certain people, or just inside myself. Because Inside Out is meant to be all about understanding ourselves from the inside out. It's not just going, this is what's going on the surface. Yeah, surface. No, we make decisions in here. And it comes from, things that we deal with in our past, same things that we're dealing with in our environment right now, and our fear or our trepidation or worry about the future. And every one of these characters is so beautifully realized. The world inside the mind is so beautifully realized. The back of the mind thing, we always talk about, well, it's a bad thought. Let's put it just to the back of our mind and just move on. That's a thing that's depicted in this. We get to see other things that we see. There's just phrases. There's things we say about the mind, how we think, that kind of just, we get to see physical manifestations of it, and it's pretty dang great. It's There's one scene that takes place at the vault, which I will not give away, which also, just like they did in the last film, plays with different styles of animation, which is just, it's one of the best things about these films that I love, that they took such care in depicting different aspects of that internal reality in different types of animation, or characters in different types of animation. So, yeah, there's so much good going for this film. So much great things that come out of it. Yeah, and kudos to everybody who worked on it, whether you got to see the reward from it or not. I know it's not a fun story to talk about. You all did a great job. This is one of my favorite Pixar films, and it's the kind of thing that I can see something. I see it more and more. I see more each time I've seen it. I watched it twice now. Did I say this earlier? I feel like I said this earlier, but I didn't. Just the animation aspect of the main characters themselves. They all look like fuzzy Muppets in a sense, but even when they're standing still, there's a layer of particles that move off of their bodies, just sort of glitter around their bodies and just sometimes float away from them. It's a detail that I didn't see before, and it's gorgeous. But the great thing is, it wasn't just something that was, oh, maybe they didn't even do it in the first film, or they didn't do it to the same degree, because again, technology improves. When I just watched it, it had a certain level of detail in it that just jumped out at me. But it wasn't just to look pretty, to look cool. It had a purpose that I didn't realize until the end. And that's, to me, just, it's great world building. And again, that's what this movie does. It does a lot of great world building in a fantasy world that is grounded in the reality inside our minds. So, yeah, it's, I'm at a loss for words. I'm sure embarrassment and and anxiety are all talking to each other right now inside my head as I try to finish this off. I picked this up thinking I was going to pick tomorrow's episode, but I already have. It was number 31. And it's a documentary. It's a National Geographic documentary, and it's a very different thing than what we just saw. It's a serious film. It's a documentary about a pop star, in Uganda, I believe. Uganda? God, I'm gonna hate myself if I'm wrong. It's in East Africa, who tries to stand up and build a party that will take down someone who refuses to leave power. And the struggle they take, it doesn't sound fun. Let's just say that. So yeah, it's called Bobby Wine, the People's President. That's what we're watching next on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.